Bardzo dziękuję za tą wykonaną pracę.
The management plan for the Białowieża Forest World Heritage Site, this is the title of the document sent to UNESCO, for which the Ministry of Climate and Environment was responsible.
96%.
96% of the Białowieża forest and the area of Białowieża forest will be covered by environmental works only, and previously the area was 37%. This means the exclusion of traditional forest management and a ban on hunting in the Polish part of the Białowieża forest. Poland was forced to prepare the plan by international agreements. The government and its subordinate offices announced a historic success. The management plan for the Białowieża Forest World Heritage Site is one of the most thoroughly consulted documents in the field of environmental protection and nature conservation in recent years. A conservation plan for 25 years is a long time. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are standing at a historic moment, finally presenting an ambitious, pro-nature, pro-social management plan for the Białowieża forest, agreeing on its sanctity. The barrier on Poland's eastern border and the patrols of the border guard are, seemingly, a problem, the document states. Since its creation, the barrier on the border between Poland and Belarus has been a partial obstacle to animal migration. For this reason, the government came up with the idea of opening up the barrier. Until passages for animals are open, the possibility of introducing additional facilities enable animals to cross the border, e.g. additional, appropriately secured openings of a size suitable for a lynx or wolf, with a diameter of approximately 30 centimetres, should be considered. In addition, there are plans to remove the forest mesh fence and razor wire barbed wire along the main barrier, and not to install permanent lighting along the border strip. Then comes what is the most important threat to Polish national security, the recommendation to reduce the number of soldiers and border guard patrols. The intensification of small predators' activity near the border zone is probably related to the presence of military posts, which are a source of food waste. This could potentially contribute to the spread of diseases carried by wild and domestic animals. Essentially, this document argues that littering is the reason enough to scale down Polish presence on the eastern border. It is difficult to say whether this is pro-Putin, anti-Polish or anti-human. And again, attacking Polish law enforcement officers for disturbing the well-being of animals. What about the well-being of our citizens? Today, Poland's raison d'etat requires the protection of its borders. All other matters should be put on the back burner in this regard, and I am surprised that the government is issuing a document that violates the principles of protecting Poland's borders. The Białowieża Forest Management Plan makes no mention of the hybrid war that is still continuing on the Polish-Belarusian border, nor of the threats posed by attempts by illegal immigrants to enter the country. Through such open crossings, which they are currently proposing, all sorts of goons will be able to pass through and stab Polish citizens. On Thursday alone, near Narewka in Podlasia, 180 immigrants illegally entered Poland through a 60-metre tunnel dug under the border. It was decided to bring in experts to dig tunnels. Did the Belarusians bring them in? Yes, from the Middle East. The plans sent to UNESCO are therefore contrary to the assumptions of the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Administration, and above all to Polish national security, especially since the second line of defence is being built on the border in the form of a mesh fence about 4 metres high. It has come to the point where the government does one thing and says another. It is through the Białowieża forest that the main transit route for illegal immigrants runs. With the management plan sent to UNESCO and the recommendations it contains, the Polish government will make it easier for the Belarusian regime to flood the border with people selected specifically to be dangerous to Polish internal security. Christmas celebrations in Europe are under increasing pressure. The constant threat of terrorism is underlined by the ever-present security measures. Evoking that kind of dread is the purpose of the unending Muslim attacks on European Christmas markets. In a society where Christians live timidly in fear of Muslim violence, Islam has already achieved a perverse form of social dominance. Although they are not yet officially banned, a simple visit to a Christmas market will, today, inevitably be tainted by the knowledge of previous incidents. The more of these markets shut down, the more this tradition is weakened, and eventually, after a few years of shut markets, this tradition is all but dead. Of course, this is intentional. Christmas market shutting down under threat of violence is an Islamic win against the native population in the psychological war over who owns Europe.
Ankommen in der Islamischen Republik Deutschland.
Welcome to the Islamic Republic of Germany. This is how the author of this recording clearly and openly explains to native Germans what he believes the future holds for their nation. All my German friends, listen carefully. This is just the beginning. We will multiply because we have more children, and one day, inshallah, all of Germany will be full of mosques, full of houses of prayer, and there is nothing you can do about it because we Muslims are simply in the majority. This is most evident right now during the Christmas season, a holiday that Islamists do not recognize or tolerate. Here in Mainz, they attacked the Christmas market. They chased Christians away, shouting about Allah and jihad.
Weil wir Muslime
We Arabs are proud of the empire we have created here. We come here to pray whether you like it or not. You lost your cultural heritage a long time ago. Do you understand? That is why Germany no longer exists. Germany belongs to Muslims, Turks and
ob
Arabs.
es euch passt oder nicht, ihr habt euer Kulturgut.
These are not just words. This is a real war that Germany is not only losing, even addressing it is taboo.
Koniec Europy Zachodniej.
The end of Western Europe is closer than one may think. It becoming Muslim territory is not a distant prospect. Last Thursday in Hartford, a 16-year-old German was attacked with a knife by an Iraqi a year younger. He was taken to hospital unconscious, where only a specialized operation managed to save his life. There was also a near tragedy in Bavaria. The authorities stopped a planned attack on a Christmas market in time. 3 Moroccans, a Syrian and an Egyptian were arrested in connection with the case.
Ein Tatverdächtiger,
A 56-year-old Egyptian citizen allegedly ordered an attack on a Christmas market using a vehicle at a mosque near Dingolfing. He wanted to kill or injure as many people as possible. 3 Moroccans accepted the order. A 5th suspect allegedly helped them. It was supposed to look something like this. These are photos from last year's attack in Magdeburg. The attacker drove into a crowd, killing 5 and injuring 200 people. 13 people, including a Polish citizen, were killed in a similar attack in Berlin in 2016. Since then, the threat of Islamic terrorism has become part of everyday life in Germany.
Oni religię traktują bardzo poważnie i tam
They take their religion very seriously, and wherever they settle, they slowly take over the area, adopt certain cultural rules and introduce Sharia law. This is a matter of course to them. The authorities first tried to censor reports of Muslim aggression. Now they admit that the policy of multiculturalism was a mistake, though reluctantly and without any serious attempt to reverse what caused the problem. During my first meeting with the US President and many times since, I told him that we in Germany are implementing a new policy on immigration and asylum law. The next time we meet, I will tell him that we have been very successful in this regard, reducing the number of asylum seekers in Germany by about half. Police with long guns now patrol German streets, concrete barriers stand on sidewalks, and random searches of people are now commonplace, not only in Germany, but almost throughout Muslim-invaded Europe. These are real problems. We already see these images in Great Britain, we see them in France, we see them in Belgium. But it goes further than that, because they are already running in local elections, they are running for seats in these local bodies in European Union countries, and soon they will have a real impact on politics, especially the development of the identity and worldview of these nation states. For example, in the United Kingdom, even displaying the British flag is now frowned upon. It may offend the New Britons. Christmas celebration should not be overdone either. After all, Muslims do not see eye to eye with Christianity. Hence the protest organised last Saturday in London. As European governments fawn in the face of Muslim violence, the number of crimes against white Europeans continues to grow, with both British people and immigrants from Europe, including Poland, falling victim. The press noted that last year alone, 25,000 Poles left the islands. The arrival of hundreds of thousands of Poles changed the face of Britain, but now they are returning home in droves for a better life in their low-tax, booming homeland. The protesters and even their organisers are holding up Poland as a model of a country that has successfully defended itself against mass immigration and preserved its own identity, tradition and culture. Unfortunately, the same fate still threatens Poland. The EU Migration Pact will come into force in 6 months. According to the pact, the European Union, including Poland, is to become a new homeland for millions of immigrants, mainly from Islamic countries, as if Europe needs more Muslims.
The right-wing candidate won the presidential election in Chile. José Antonio Cast received over 7.2 million votes, which means he received the highest support in the country's history. Chile is yet another Latin American country where conservatives are taking power. This has already happened in Argentina, Peru, and others. Polls and political analyses are one thing. But the shamans of Peru had their own ways of determining the frontrunner in the Chilean presidential election. After performing their magical ceremonies, they issued their verdict. With the help of the sacred plants, we have predicted what will happen in Chile. Both candidates are favored by the winds, the air, and the mountain spirits. But we saw Mr. José Antonio Cast as the winner. He will win the presidency in Chile. And that is exactly what happened. The right-wing candidate won decisively in the second round of elections against his left-wing opponent. Today, no one person won. No one party won. Today, Chile won. Hope won. Hope for a life without the fear that torments families. Chile won. The Chile that works. The Chile that wakes up at dawn. José Antonio Cast, a 59-year-old lawyer, politician, social activist, and leader of the right-wing Chilean Republican Party, won over 7 million votes in a country of 20 million. 58% of Chileans want evolution, change, less crime. Look how we celebrate. This is a real triumph. This is what our country wants: progress and zero communism. It was all a disaster. Drug trafficking has skyrocketed. People are afraid to go home. We have seen no progress in education or healthcare. So it was all a disaster. But that's over now. It is also the end of left-wing voters' dreams of open borders and further social programs. But the new right-wing president will not have an easy life, as the defeated candidate has announced. We will be a constructive and demanding opposition in order to improve the lives of our nation. At the same time, we will be firm in defending what has been achieved. There will be no doubt about that. The right-wing candidate won the hearts and minds of Chileans because he called for tougher law enforcement, harsher penalties for crimes, and a stricter immigration policy, including the deportation of illegal immigrants. We hope this election will unite us, end this polarization, and bring more jobs, more investment, and security. That's what we need. More and more Latin Americans share this attitude. After years of left-wing governments, record social spending, and ideological experiments, voters are saying enough is enough and voting for conservative parties. The most recognizable politician of this new wave of change in South America is Argentine President Javier Milei, who celebrated the second anniversary of his rule a few days ago. But the changes have also affected other countries in the region. In addition to Argentina, there are El Salvador, Ecuador, Paraguay, Panama, Bolivia, and Peru. Washington is watching the voters' decisions with approval. The victory of right-wing politicians and shared values in both Americas are in line with the latest U.S. national security strategy. We will enlist established friends in the hemisphere to control migration, stop drug flows, and strengthen stability and security on land and sea. This is proof that President Donald Trump's administration does not make empty promises. The USA is constantly gathering thousands of their soldiers and numerous ships off the coast of Venezuela. Nicolás Maduro, Venezuela's dictator, is allegedly behind one of the influential drug cartels and is cooperating economically and militarily with China and Russia.